start streaming and recording and doing all those things. Oh, so good. Ooh, funsies. Well, welcome. I'm Janelle, the host of Real Person Yoga, but I'm hoping one day to have a plethora of wonderful yoga teachers that are dedicated to helping people find their journey with fitness and movement and doing stuff that is accessible to all levels in a fun, meaningful, delightful way that I like to call yoga. Okay, I also have a Zoom meeting open because I've got a little online yoga studio happening. So I've got some people over here on the screen, and then you and I can hang out on the live, but then I don't get to see you or interact with you and chat with you after. So if you want to be a part of that, the magical option for that is through Patreon. Patreon is my online yoga studio where you can sign up for 1 class a week to 4 classes a week with bonus content. So I'm going to start adding in Tuesdays, which I currently am not teaching on for you guys. It used to be my workout time, but I'm not doing my workouts, so I need you guys to help me do my Tuesday workouts. But I'm going to do all of that as bonus content for people who sign up via the Patreon. So patreon.com/realpersonyoga. It's all over my Facebook page, which you've probably found to see it. So let's get started with some yoga because I don't want to gab too much about other things. Oh, other than if you want a Real Person Yoga sweater, the deadline is March 31st. Today is March 26th. So you still have a few days to decide whether you want gray or purple. It's like a heathery purple, so not just like the solid colors. They're really pretty. They're really soft. Oh, they are just so nice. That perfect for, like, they're not like beyond thick so you can only wear them at -30. They are the right amount of thickness so you can still wear them into spring and even on summer on those cool nights where I'm sure we'll all be sitting around fireplaces on people's driveways. So get a sweater. If you want a sweater, $42. Check out my page for more info. Okay, let's do the yoga. Let's do the yoga. Do it all at the beginning, because then if you need to skip it, you can just skip it. But maybe on your mat. Let's start in a seated position or laying down. It's a common way that I like to start. I usually start seated so that I can chat at the camera. But in a perfect world, I would also lay down with you. It helps the body center in and just helps get rid of some of those distractions. If you're doing your yoga practice at home, your home is used for more than just your workouts. So there's all sorts of other things that happen. This house still has a landline, so you might hear the phone ring. I've got a dog kind of nestled right underneath my little setup here, and she might walk in camera. I've got roommates and I've tried to close things off, but they still exist. You might hear them in the background. So those are just things that make it real because I'm a human being and I can control only so many things. And I think that is a big part of the yoga and the journey that I have found to be successful is letting go of stuff you can't control. Even when I teach at a yoga studio twice a week during my classes, even though my classes were at different times, and the dump truck would come behind rumbling and would empty the giant garbage bin behind it, and you'd hear the whole kit and caboodle in the midst of like my restorative class. And you know what? You just name it and claim it. I can't control his schedule, and you move on. So even when you try so hard to make these environments where you have these like professional studios, even that, sometimes there's things that are still out of our control. And you could absolutely let that bother you and ruin your yoga class, and you can get all caught up and complain about it. But my question is, did it help? You spend so much time stressing and in this kind of angsty position, but does it help? And I've learned, for me personally, it does not. In fact, it just ruins my quality of life, and I choose to not let that bother me, and that is a choice I try to make, and that is sometimes a very hard choice. So maybe today that is your focus, your intention, to let it go, to not let it bother you. You can start by trying to bring that into your yoga class. So as you get started and settled here, let's connect in with the breath. Maybe you even close the eyes to let some of those distractions fade away. And just start to notice that inhale and that exhale. Feeling the breath be full as you start to breathe a little deeper. A nice big breath in and a breath out. I usually try to breathe in through my nose to feel that connection of the nose with the breath. I naturally breathe out through my mouth, and simply because I can make it louder, so hopefully you guys can hear those big strong exhales and either join in or give you the confidence to let your breath make a bit of noise. But if you want to be more of that traditional yogi, the breath happens at the nose, the in and the out. So maybe give that a whirl. If you always exhale with me out through your mouth, try exhaling out through the nose, finding that nice big breath in and that big breath out. Taking just a few more, feeling that rise and fall of the body. Notice how you breathe in, everything expands, including the spine. You feel the crown of the head reaching taller. And as you exhale, everything comes back towards that center point, kind of between the heart and the stomach. That nice center line. Taking one more breath in. This time try to keep that length that you've created. And as you exhale, let the shoulders relax back and down. And also relax the jaw. Take an extra moment just to really soften through the body. Notice what there is to notice. After focusing on the breath, you can keep those really big full breaths going. Or if your breath regularly returns to its normal rate, that's okay too, as you start to notice how the shoulders feel, maybe how the wrists and the hands feel. Checking in with the hips and the low back area. A little quick scan of the knees, the ankles and the feet. Maybe you didn't notice the neck. As you do your little scan through, make sure you're not just noticing the bad, the areas that are tense and tight. Have a little yin with your yang. Notice a couple of good things too, some things that maybe feel open or that don't feel sore, that maybe used to feel sore. And just have all of those connections. Excellent. And taking a moment to actually set your intention. That little word or phrase, that goal that happens. Maybe it's more of an encouragement or just a mantra, something you're working with. And then let's come back to that breath and find some movement. Little wiggles into the fingers and into the toes. Start to roll the wrists and the ankles, get some of those cracks and those pops out. If you're a knuckle cracker, if you want to get into the fingers, go ahead and do something for the fingers. Maybe just give them each a little massage, running your thumb and your pointer finger down each of the fingers on one hand and then switch over to the other side. Oh, it feels so good. Just gotta, little massages increase blood flow to that area, so it naturally starts to heal into the body, giving it a nice fresh dose of oxygen too, equipping it for movement. So really nice to do. I'll often do this on my hamstrings. Really great to do on the glutes too, if you're working on the glutes. But today we'll do it on the hands. You can do it on the feet if you're seated. Let your movements get just a little bit bigger as you wake up a little bit stronger. And wherever you're at, let's take a good morning stretch. Just taking a nice big reach up of the hands overhead, feeling yourself get nice and tall through the arms, maybe through the shoulders. If you really want more, feel it through the rib cage, maybe linking the fingers and pulling one hand and the next hand a little bit higher. Maybe feel it all the way down to the hips. So beautiful. And then take an exhale, let those hands relax, maybe just overhead or back alongside the body. If you're seated with me, let's roll things back and down. We'll start on our backs today. You can have your knees bent and feet planted, or you can have your legs be nice and long. We'll take another good morning stretch laying down, but first settle on down. Feel the back and the spine connect. Roll those shoulders back and down. Excellent. And then on that inhale, sweep those arms up. Take a nice big reach, reach, reach. Oh, so good. Maybe you have a little yawn that happens. Yawns are just a way to stretch the jaw, so maybe take a little bit and force a yawn to get that nice stretch happening. Take that exhale, start to relax those arms back alongside the body and hug those knees in towards the chest. Taking that gentle rock from side to side, giving that low back a little bit of love. Oh, so good. So one thing that I love about being a gentle yoga teacher is sometimes I don't do the hardest version of things. Yes, a pose can progress further. If you want to take it there, by all means, and I'll even cue it and maybe show it for a moment. But to give you confidence in finding modifications, I will ease off. So even when I came down to laying down, I kept my feet planted because it is more gentle, and actually I just straight up prefer that version. So here, as we start to tuck the hands behind the knees and find a little bit of stillness if you're still rocking from side to side, let's extend those feet up towards the ceiling. You can keep a bend to the knees. If you're tight through the hamstrings, maybe give them a little squeeze and a massage as you say a little hello to them. And then starting nice and softly, extend one foot up. We could put both feet up, but let's just say hello to that first leg. Maybe add a little point to the toes, feel into the top of the ankle and the shin. And get a nice flex of the foot, saying hello to that Achilles and into the calf. And then bend the knee back on in and extend the other leg nice and long, or wherever it ends up for you. And add that nice point in, saying hello to that ankle. Adding in that nice flex of the foot, really pressing that heel up. And bring that knee back in, and together with a bit of unison, trying to bring both feet up. One leg might be tighter than the next. That's often something that happens. You might feel a little more pull or resistance as you work towards lengthening the legs. You can still have a gentle bend to the knees here. Legs do not have to be perfectly straight. And then let's take a moment and notice the low back. And what's happening in low back? What's happening to help us stabilize here? So we've got our shoulders and our hips pressing down, but let's take a moment and get the spine to press down a little bit deeper as well. So drawing that belly button towards the spine will help really kind of anchor it down. And even if you connect in with the breath, almost like you're taking that shorter exhale like you would in like a karate class like that. Feel that engagement of the core, the muscles get nice and strong. You'll know if you have engagement as we work towards letting go of the legs. Feel how that engagement intensifies. We're firing into those hip flexors. If you want, you can tuck the hands under those sits bones. Adding a touch of height there helps keep that low back nice and secure down, especially as we're working on building some strength through those low back muscles and those abdominals. Beautiful. And keep a gentle tuck of the chin. Oftentimes we try to stabilize by rolling onto the top of the head, which our necks don't necessarily love. It's not a great posture to hang out in. All right, let's find a bit of movement here, getting into those hip flexors a little deeper. Just a little shuffle of the feet as if you were walking on the ceiling. A little forward and back. Feeling that engagement through those hips, maybe into those lower abdominals. If you need to make this more gentle, just bend the knees and you can do the same movement, shuffling of the knees. So there's your option for more gentle. If you're looking for more intensity, that doesn't necessarily mean bigger movements. It means this time engaging more muscles. So maybe you add that flex to the feet and to keep the legs nice and strong and to get into those ankles. Beautiful. Here's my Cali dog coming into the screen. She's a Bernese mountain dog, since everyone asks at some point. She's just the sweet little pup that loves to hang out with me, so I can't bring myself to kick her out during these classes. She usually hangs out off screen. Beautiful. But today you'll see her little head, I guess. All right, we've been moving here. I do feel that burn, that heat coming on up. Little movements, getting into those stabilizing muscles. All right, let's start to bring this up a little bit. Let's take 10 big taps, so maybe tapping one foot down or close down towards the ground. Notice how my extended leg naturally bent to create more space. If you want extra challenge, keep that extended leg as straight as possible. Float that other foot up and switch other side, lowering it down. Excellent. Bringing it back up. So there's two. If you're doing the gentle version of this with the knees bent, you're just pressing one foot down and then the next. Much less motion happening there, much more gentle. First leg goes down. Beautiful. Float on back up. Next leg lowers. Stay in control of the leg. Don't let gravity just take over. Bring the leg back up. Leg lowers down, so good. Float on back up. Exhale, second leg down. Keep that leg that's up with intention. Keep focusing in on it. Beautiful. Here's our last one. So good. Foot comes back up, bend the knees, plant the feet. Take a little windshield wiper, dropping the knees from side to side. Good job, hip flexors. Good job, body. So at any point that you want to mix and match intensity levels, you're welcome to do so. Maybe you start really strong, and then you ease off near the end of it as that body maybe starts to fatigue. Or maybe you just start soft and you can build it up as you build some of that confidence, as you know what you're doing. Taking your practice into your own hands. So I love to give you options. I am not the master. I am just the tour guide. I give you the options and you explore and figure it out. All right, let's come back to that stillness. Let's give those hip flexors just a touch of a stretch as we make our way into a bridge pose. So those shoulders really roll back and down, gentle tuck of the chin, keeping that neck nice and secure. Take a breath in, then lengthen the spine. Take that exhale, start to press softly into the feet, engage through that core, maybe taking that quick exhale breath, and then press those hips up. Feel how solid and strong that feels through the core. And keep pressing into the feet. Feel yourself maybe slide up a little bit higher onto the shoulders as you engage deeper into the heels, as well as the ball of the foot. And that outer edge of the foot, really press into that. Almost imagine you have a strap around the knees that you're pressing into. Feel that extra engagement through the outer lines of the leg. So good. The arches lift when you imagine that pressing out. Great foot posture. So good. Keep hanging out here. Taking one more nice breath. Remembering to breathe. Find that inhale. And that exhale nice and strong. Lower the spine now, vertebrae by vertebrae. Coming down softly. Taking your time. Letting the tailbone be the last thing to touch. Take an extra little moment there. Maybe you adjust the feet. Maybe you walk them in a little closer to the heels. Maybe you take a touch of a wider stance. Beautiful. Taking that inhale to lengthen, little tuck of the chin. That exhale to press into shoulders. Engage the core. Press into the feet. Float those hips up. Take that moment and adjust through the feet, pressing into those outer edges. Rolling up maybe a touch higher onto those shoulders. Excellent. Let's work on stabilizing a little deeper here. Bring the palms of the hands facing down in case they're in any other position and just alongside the body. Press into the shoulders a little bit deeper and press into the palms of the hands. Feel that upper body start to engage as we hang out in this bridge pose. If you want more still, press the elbows down, activating stronger into those muscles. So beautiful. Squeeze through those fingertips, really pressing the ends of the fingers down. Excellent. You can relax the arms, but keep the hips up here as we now shift the weight towards that left foot. Maybe come up onto those right tippy toes. That's our gentle version. If you want a little more, you're working on floating that right foot up, maybe just a touch, or kicking it all the way up. Oh, feel that power through that left leg as you shoot those hips up a little bit higher. Press nice and strong. So good. Bend the knee, plant that foot right back down, stabilize. Feel that rebalancing of left foot, right foot. Look down. This natural bridge pose feels like a resting pose. All right, let's come right into that right side. Just working strong here. Keep that core engaged. Beautiful. Shift that weight over. Maybe just come up onto the left tippy toes. Maybe float the foot or kick the leg right on up. Keep pressing into that right foot, sending those hips up a little bit higher. Oh, so beautiful. Remembering to breathe. Bend the knee, plant that foot back down, restabilize between the left and the right. Press the hips up and roll down nice and slow. Great work there. Lots of strengthening on the glutes, getting to the hammies, the quads. Look, we did leg day without even coming up to standing, but don't worry, we'll get there. Let's hug both knees in towards the chest. Your back bend, or your bridge pose is actually a back bend. So hugging the knees, that is a nice little counter pose for that. And I like to roll into tiny ball, so lifting my head and my shoulders up off the ground. It's not about bringing your forehead to the knees. So if you've got lots of space there, that's a-okay. It's about getting that spine a little bit more up off the ground. Think of it as like a reverse bridge pose, and trying to get those upper bodies and vertebrae up off the ground as much as you can. And then for this delightful little roll down, vertebrae by vertebrae. If the head gets too heavy, hold the head as you roll down nice and slow. And then let the head come on down. Excellent. Either roll onto your side or start to rock and roll up towards a seated position. However you want to get there, we'll come on up to seated. Beautiful. I'm going to extend my legs long this time. If you want to keep the legs bent, that will make this more gentle. Or at least I find it makes it more gentle. So your staff pose, toes engaged and up towards the ceiling. So good. Not hunching through those shoulders. That's really natural here because it actually takes muscles to sit up nice and straight. And so take that inhale. Let's lengthen. Press into those sits bones. See if you can kind of rocket ship up and getting the head nice and tall. Take an inhale. See if you can sit up any taller. Take an exhale. Relax those shoulders back and down. So good. And check in with those toes again. And trying to make them equal distance away from the body, so not letting them sickle in or press outward. And just nice and neutral. All right, let's take an inhale, sweep those arms up, reach it up. Let's actually feel like a stretch as you pull those arms up nice and tall. Take an exhale, draw the hands down to heart center. Still strong through the legs as you inhale. And sweep it up. Exhale, hands to heart. One more time, nice big inhale, reaching it up. Exhale, hands come on down. And reach that right hand to the outside of your left leg, either by the knee or down the thigh. Reach that left hand open, and we'll come into the twist, reaching that left hand back behind you. Notice the feet here. Although that right foot is going to want to shift forward, that's not necessarily wrong. That's engaging the hips in the twist. If you want to just have the spine be moving, keep those feet be nice and neutral. Reaching back behind you, take a moment, inhale, lengthen, see if you can get any taller. And take that exhale, start to bring that hand back forward, coming back towards center. Exhale, we'll just bring it to the outside of that right leg. Left hand reaches maybe forward and then starts to open right up, beautiful twist. Feeling those rotations through the middle of the body, reaching that hand back. Like maybe you got a little wall that's a touch too close. I'm going to come to cactus arms. Just a little bend through the elbow. Really engage. Maybe you roll that left hip back just a touch. So good. And come on back towards that center. Reaching the hands forward. Relaxing them. Take a little roll of the shoulders. Beautiful. And then let's make our way into an all fours position. So coming on over, planting the hands down, knees tuck in underneath the hips. Take a little sway from side to side. Just say hi to those hips this morning, getting into the outer edge of them. If you're a side sleeper, I'm a side sleeper and I primarily sleep just on my right side. But I find my left side is so super tense. Maybe that's why I avoid it at night. Beautiful. It's actually just because I don't like to face the inside of the bed. I don't know why. So I switch sides of the bed every couple of months so that I can give my hips a bit of love, a little bit of a break. Just fun facts about me. Just little habits that you have. But it's that awareness that I know that impacts my yoga practice and impacts my movement. All right, let's come back to neutral. We'll switch it up, taking that cat-cow breath. So that inhale to look up, letting the belly button press down towards the ground. Nice arch through the spine. Exhale, nice little rounding and through everything. Shoulders press on up. A little inhale. And an exhale. Take one more nice big breath in. So good. And that exhale, nice rounding through. And come to that neutral. I'm going to walk my hands forward a little bit, coming more towards a puppy pose or somewhere between puppy pose and child's pose, just kind of sitting back, but really getting into my arms and my shoulders. Really kind of working on lengthening through the arms and trying to bring my head kind of as lower as in between as my head as I can. So my head is loose, give a little shake, no to release any tension there. And I'm trying to bring my ears in line with my arms or beyond. If you can reach the head down a little bit more and towards the ground, those elbows staying pressing upwards. Great little stretch here. Let's keep this as now we start to activate, pressing into the hands and tuck those toes under and make your way into a downward dog. So knees start to hover and legs lengthen. So good. Your downward dog, you keep the knees on the ground if that's where you're at. And if you want some extra challenge, keep pressing into those arms, send those hips up nice and high. Then imagine those heels pressing down towards the ground, not for the glory of getting your heels down. That's not what it's about. It's about lengthening that back line of the legs. Just feel that extra engagement. Maybe you imagine lifting the toes up off the ground. Beautiful. Let's roll forward, coming into your plank position. Strong through the core. You can let those knees drop. And then bend the elbows so they graze the ribs, lowering down. You can inhale, press on up. Maybe it's a little baby cobra. Keep those elbows hugged in if you can. If you want a little more, you can press up a little higher. And then come on back to that puppy pose or that child's pose with the elbows up. Head resting. Lots of engagement through the arms. Keep trying to lift those elbows and press into the hands and drop the head down lower. Great to kind of counter that posture that we often have, that little hunch forward. All right, let's activate and engage again, pressing into those hands, tucking those toes under if they weren't already, and starting to really press in, lifting the knees, lengthening the legs, and keep the arms so long and extended. Beautiful. This time let's look forward to the front of the mat. Take a few little steps or a big step or a little hop. You come into your forward fold. No expectation that hands touch the ground. Great opportunity to use a block if you've got one. Rolling those shoulders back and down. If you have the hands, pressing in firmly. Otherwise, just let everything hang. Be loosey-goosey. Beautiful. Nice breath. Take an inhale, take that halfway lift, pressing the hands into the legs, either above or below the knee. Rolling those shoulders back and down to lengthen. And then bend the knees, sink those hips, sweep those arms up for your chair pose. If you want, you can bring hands to heart center, or you can just have your hands hang out on your hips or on your knees. Many options that you can do for your chair pose. Take that inhale to lengthen, coming up just a touch. Feel the tailbone tuck under. This activates those low back muscles that sink it back down to feel that strength now that we have. So strong through those glutes. Excellent. And press all the way up to standing, taking this big reach up. Let this actually be a stretch if you want it to be. Let the hands come down to heart center. Beautiful. Feeling the feet. Take a moment and actually ground down. Feel the heels, the toes, just like we did in our bridge pose. Imagine lifting the arches, pressing into the outer edges of the feet. Keep the big toe connected. Imagine that strap around the legs. Feel how strong you can get through those sidelines of the legs. Big breath in to lengthen, and exhale, relax the shoulders. Beautiful. Start to shift the weight towards that right foot as you step your left foot back. Coming into a warrior two position. So we'll start in a little warrior two. You can keep the feet relatively close together for some more gentleness. You can still come into the lunge, nice and easy on the hips, or you can widen the stance for some more intensity. Bend through that right knee and just checking what's happening with the hips. So I've got my hands on my hips here, and if you can find the little bones, the little eyes of the hips, I like to call them. And I even like to just make little pointer fingers and I just find the angle that the hips are at. So let's just imagining opening up through the hips here. So imagine drawing that right knee back, feel that hip shift forward. And then just imagine that back hip also opening up. It might just be a millimeter, it might be an inch. You can also do this with the arms engaged. So take a little moment, lengthen through that right leg, and give the hips a little bit of a shake to kind of come back towards that neutral. Bend the knee coming into that lunge. So where the arms are, odds are they're still in your peripheral vision, so lots of times that back arm is a little bit closer. Take a moment, open up the arms. Naturally, that also helps open up through the hips. You can bring in that extra intention of really trying to draw the knee back. But if your hips don't come into that perfect north and south, hey, that's not my expectation, but it's just that feeling of it, just like I don't expect the heels down in downward dog. So beautiful warrior two, working on that. Let's lengthen through that leg. Take a little triangle pose. So the leg lengthens, and the left hip kicks towards the back as that right hand reaches forward and then drops down. So if you want the hand on the thigh or down the leg, down towards ankle, the ground, the block, wherever you're at, keep rolling that left shoulder open as if you're trying to connect it to the wall that might be behind you. And then the hand can float up if you want a little more. Keeping that core nice and strong. Keep drawing that belly button towards spine or that. Beautiful. And notice how you're hunching into the shoulders. Draw those ears a little farther. Figure if I just talk about anatomy enough, you won't realize the long hold that we have here. All right, let's add a deep bend to that right knee. We'll rest the elbow on the leg. We found our extended side angle. So if you want, you can reach that hand more overhead. If you want more intensity, keep dropping the hip down. See how I naturally bend, but the hip is still up. But if I drop it down, I'm lengthening through that back leg, making that beautiful line, finding that length. All right, press into the feet here as we start to float that torso up. Feel that strength back to your warrior two. Beautiful. Exhale, relax the hands. Look forward to the front of the net. Maybe you heel toe that back foot in a bit and take a nice big safe step forward. Take an inhale, reach it up. Take a nice stretch here. Optional back bend. Maybe you just look up towards the ceiling or start to reach back a bit. Coming back towards the neutral, not a long back bend. Take an exhale, find your forward fold. So if this is your fold, this is a great fold. My low back is getting some love here. My glutes are getting a little love here. This is nice and soft on the knees with the bend. You can relax and just let the arms dangle. Even more delicious on that low back. Your forward fold doesn't have to always be about your hamstrings. If you lengthen the legs and take that traditional forward fold, you're really just working into hamstrings, a touch into glutes. But if you bend those knees, oh, it's all about that beautiful low back. All right, your option is to hang out in your forward fold, or we can take a little vinyasa. So we'll take that inhale, taking that halfway lift to lengthen the body, keeping that length, bend the knee so you can plant the hands down, take a nice big step back, press into the arms to align the arms with the ears, taking that downward dog first. If you got here and you're like, oh, I changed my mind, just drop the knees, take a child's pose. Otherwise, we'll roll into that plank position, then lower the body down, taking that chaturanga. Press on up, take your back bend. If you're coming all the way up, roll those shoulders back and down, open up through the collarbone. Beautiful. Tuck those toes under, start to press back, maybe through your tabletop to find that downward dog. Yes, Callie. I keep saying the word dog, which is you. Thanks for being my biggest fan. Alright, if you took your child's pose, meet back in your downward dog. Let's look forward to the front of the mat. Maybe stepping with that non-dominant foot up towards the top to that forward fold. It took me many yoga classes to work on one graceful step up towards the top of that, and I can actually only do it with my left side. My right side is still really tight. So I always suggest taking a few little steps, but if you don't practice what you're not good at, you won't ever get better at it. So that was my little practice in there. And take that inhale, take that halfway lift, lengthen, roll those shoulders back and down. Bend those knees, drop those hips down. Find your chair pose. Nice and gentle. A little more intensive. We're going for the gusto. Actually, if you want even more, reach those hands up towards the ceiling opposed to at that 45-degree angle. Feel that extra engagement through the shoulders. Take a lengthen, tuck the tailbone, sink it back down, so strong. Maybe you sink even lower. Maybe you really try to drop those hips in line with the knees or the ankles and press all the way back up with control, reaching up. Nice big stretch. Exhale, hands to heart. Hands can drop alongside the body or stay at heart center. If you want to just feel that connection. Feeling into the feet, activating into those outer lines, while lifting those arches, pressing into that imaginary band around the knees. Shifting weight now towards that left foot as you start to float that right foot up and step it all the way back. And coming into that warrior two position. Closer together, more gentle, farther apart, more intensity. I'll keep telling y'all, hands on the hips, maybe coming into those pointer fingers on the hips, and then working on opening up, always starting with that front foot first, so that left knee presses open. It's okay if that right hip just turns in, that's a-okay, and then just imagining pressing in, almost like you're trying to spin that thigh outwards. Beautiful openness. You can reach those arms out. Maybe you sink a little deeper into your lunge and giving that right inner thigh a little more stretch. Connecting in with the breath. Our warrior two is actually just such a beautiful metaphor. And the breath happens in the center of it. And that hand that reaches back represents the past, still being rooted in knowing where you came from. The hand forward represents the future, having your eye on where you want to go and being connected, but not forgetting where you came from, but still trying to be present in the center at that moment. Such a beautiful thing in that warrior two. All right, let's lengthen through that left leg and kick the hip out towards the right and reach that left arm forward. We've got all sorts of cracks and pops happening here today. That hand can drop down, and this can be your triangle. You can even still have a bend to the knee. The more you lengthen the leg, the more you're going to get into hamstring, but don't hyperextend here. So imagine lifting the kneecap or keep the leg muscles engaged as maybe you slide the hand down. The more you lower, the more you're just getting into side body. So you can get your awesome hamstring stretch here, and realistically it's not going to change tons as you slide down, but you get into that side body a little more. Maybe that right hand floats up. Keep rolling that top shoulder open as if you're pressing that shoulder into a wall behind you. So good. Take a gentle bend to that knee, coming into that extended side angle. Maybe you reach that hand more overhead. Maybe you take that opportunity to drop the hips deeper into that lunge. Feeling that strength through the body, into the legs. Keep pressing the legs down. Excellent. We'll start to float that torso up, so engage that core. Maybe you just bring that bottom arm to a hover, and then rotate all the way up. Warrior two. Beautiful. Relax the hands down. You'll lengthen through that leg, and heel toe that back foot forward. And take a nice step to the top of the mat. Take a nice big inhale. Take a nice big reach up. Take an exhale, find your fold. Take an inhale, beautiful halfway lift. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands. If you don't want the flow, you can always just take your child's pose. Thanks, puppy. Extending. I wasn't gonna step on you. Extending those arms. And then we're rolling into that plank position. Drop those knees. And if you want to lower down, press on up. Nice and strong. Beautiful back bend. Savor it. Tuck those toes and press back. Downward dog. So good. So good. Take an extra breath here. Find the strength of the arms. Look forward to the front of the mat. Maybe stepping with that opposite foot up towards the top. Finding your forward fold. Full breath in here. Find the inhale. Take an exhale. Beautiful breath in. Now that exhale, see if you can soften. Let that torso just relax. Maybe the arms dangle down. Notice where you're looking. Relax the neck, maybe looking at the toes, the ankles, or even the knees. Next breath in, we'll rise up halfway, planting those hands and rolling those shoulders back and down. Coming into our chair pose, bend those knees, float those arms up nice and strong, lengthen, tuck the tailbones, sink it down. Beautiful. We'll just paddle our little boat here. So maybe you start really long and come off towards one side, and then back up over to the other side, or you can keep it just a small little, just a baby paddle, just moving the arms in front, or taking the big gusto, reaching forward, reaching back. Beautiful. Maybe sink those hips a little more. Beautiful. Reaching forward, reaching to that other side. Excellent. Reach it forward, press the legs up, come to standing. Oh, good job, legs. So good. Exhale, hands to heart. Roll the shoulders back and down. Feel the feet. Left foot steps back, but this time, just imagine just sliding that left foot just right back, coming into that warrior one position. So the toes can spin out just a bit as those hips stay forward. So not opening up this time. Keep things forward. Take a bend to that knee, coming into that warrior one. So nice stretch through those hip flexors. Maybe you feel it a touch into quads. Keep rolling that right hip back. If you want more here, bring those shoulders right over the hips. The more you lengthen, the more pull you create through that left leg. And maybe you reach those arms up. It's called warrior one because you have those arms in one direction. Whereas in your warrior two, you have your arms in two separate directions. So just reaching up, grabbing all of that you need, finding that strength. Maybe you sink a little deeper into your lunge. Beautiful. Hands can drop on back down. Let's lengthen through that front leg, coming into our pyramid pose. So now it's a hamstring stretch for that right side, but with the hips facing forward. I much prefer to bring my back foot in just a touch for this. Helps keep those hips nice and square. And I'm going to bring my hands onto my hips, or you can bring them onto the low back to help just protect that area. And as you press into the feet, imagine ripping that mat apart. I don't know if you can see it, but I've got like loose legs versus engaged legs, pressing in, and you add in that bow down. It doesn't have to be a forward fold. If you come 3/4 of the way and stop, or 1/4 of the way and stop, that works. You can find that sweet spot. And once you feel nice and secure, you can bring the hands onto the leg instead. Just try not to hyperextend. So just being mindful of that. Our traditional yoga classes, we would teach this right from a warrior one with the arms extended, and then you would just bow down, which adds tons of load to the core and to the hips and to the low back. So I much rather set the legs first and then get funky with the arms. So if you want to know what I talk about by adds more load, bring the hands like you're flying. Maybe you feel that bit of an increase. And then start to bring your hands reaching forward. And you feel how much heavier that feels on the torso, how much more weight there is through that right foot. Next, you can drop those hands back down. We'll take a deep bend to that right knee. Press on all the way up. Take your step forward, and we'll just shake it out. Get a little loosey-goosey through the legs. Maybe do a couple hip circles. This is great on pretty much getting every muscle that connects that torso, the upper body to the lower body. Go the opposite way. Oh, good. Excellent. Come back to standing. Feel that engagement of the feet. And then as if you're just sliding that right foot back, you can take that step back. Feet are still hip distance apart. And those toes can spin out just at a bit of an angle. Make sure those hips are aligned forward. Take a bend to that left knee. Really pulling that left hip back, getting into now that right hip flexor, maybe into the quad a bit. If you've got really tight quads, you're probably feeling it into the quad. If you have more open quads, you're probably just feeling it into hip flexor. That's why it's a maybe in the hip flexor. All right, finding that warrior one, maybe those shoulders come up a little bit more, kind of like you're sinking back. So most of my weight is trying to press into that back leg. The left leg is still there, but I could lift my heel up or my toes up. Not the majority of the weight in the front. All right, take a nice big stretch, reach it up. Finding maybe a little extra reach. And then take an exhale, drop the hands back down. As you lengthen through that front leg, maybe you hop that back foot in a little bit. You can leave it where it's at and try it, but I like to come in just a few inches. Hands on the back or on the hips. Take an inhale to lengthen, and an exhale, starting to bow it down. Being gentle here, you can always go deeper, but if you go too far right off the bat, that's when injuries and damage happens. So imagine lifting that kneecap, pressing strong into the legs. And the hands can start to float down, maybe onto the leg. If you want to try that extra engagement on this side and getting deeper into the core, you can fly the arms out. And then reach those arms forward and tuck the chin, really extend long. And keep drawing that left hip back, keep pressing into the legs. Relax those arms down. Take a deep bend to the knee and rise on back up. Great job. Step towards the top of the mat. Beautiful. Take a little shake it out. Excellent. Let's take an inhale. Nice big reach up. Exhale. Hands to heart. Just press into the hands. Feel that squeeze through the shoulder blades as you engage through those arms. And then relax. Bring the hands alongside the body. We're going to come into an extra gentle little side bend here. So feeling the feet root down. Take an inhale, get a little taller. Draw those lower ribs in strong through the core. And then as you exhale, just slide that left hand down the leg. And keeping the body nice and straight, so not curling in or falling backwards. Maybe you reach down a little bit more and keep that right shoulder far from the ear. Hunching it up doesn't let you go deeper. Beautiful. Keep pressing into both feet, not just the left foot. And then let's rise on back up. So good. Resetting strong through that core. Then now that right hand starts to reach down the leg. Your left hand will naturally come up, but don't bring the shoulder up. Let that shoulder stay far from the ear on the left side. Reach the right hand down a little further, feeling that through just that side body. So beautiful. And come on back up. Excellent. Take a nice big inhale, sweep both arms up. Take a nice stretch or a back bend if you want it. Take an exhale, coming back through neutral and forward fold. And come on down. So beautiful. Take an inhale, nice halfway lift. Rolling those shoulders back and down. And keeping that length, bend the knees, plant those hands all the way down. As you step it back, we'll take our last little vinyasa here. So finding that downward dog, if you want, you can just drop the knees in child's pose. Otherwise, we're rolling forward into that plank position. You can bring your hands a little bit wider. That actually makes it easy. This is our little yoga push-up. As you lower the body down and press on up. Lots of openness through that front body, through that collarbone. Toes tuck under. And as you float back towards your downward dog. Full breath in. And as you exhale, press into the hands. Send those hips up a little higher. Then drop the knees down. Take a child's pose. Knees farther apart, more about the hips. Knees closer together, more about the back. Your choice. Elbows can rest down. And take a full inhale. Full exhale. Let the hips relax. Pressing into the fingertips. We'll start to rise on back up. If you want to hang out in child's pose, this actually feels blissful right now. But I want to get into Shavasana. So I'm going to roll around and then come down onto the back. You can bend the knees and just keep the feet planted. So we can just take one more little move. Rolling the shoulders back and down, feeling the spine relax down. Beautiful. We're going to come into a twist. So I'm going to reach my arms out wide, left and right. And bring my knees just to a bit of a hover. There's actually two ways you can do this. You can do the knees to hover and then drop over towards one side. Or you can just walk the feet so that the knees drop over to one side. So however you want to get there, try to keep both shoulders planted down. If that opposite shoulder is really floating up, then bring the hand a little closer towards the body so that you don't have that shoulder at a weird angle. Whatever hand is closest to the knees, you have the option to drape over the legs and to soften. Feeling that extra little pull of gravity. Maybe you feel a little extra through the hip or the IT band. And a twist at the end of your yoga practice is a great way to help the spine just reset from all the other movements that you've taken. And a few more breaths here. So let things start to slow down and soften. Are you squeezing tension through the shoulders? Can they relax any deeper? If you have the bind on the legs or the knees, start to release. And either swinging the knees back up or just planting the soles of the feet down and walking the feet back through center. Or over towards the other side, knees drop down. Trying to have the knees be in line with the hip if you're walking the feet over. That right shoulder or that opposite shoulder just relaxes, presses down, otherwise that hand comes in a bit. Maybe that other hand closest to the legs drapes over. Big breath in. Full breath out. Releasing the hands and untwisting, making your way onto your back. And the feet can plant down. And hug the knees in towards the chest. And taking that little rock from side to side, a little extra love on the low back. If you want a little more here, you can find your way into happy baby, reaching for the feet, the big toe. And the feet go up towards the ceiling, the knees, and tuck in towards the body. The shoulders relax. The body's at ease. Then from here, if there's any other movement or pose that you need before we find our way into Shavasana, you're welcome to explore that. Or if you're ready for more Shavasana, it's a great option too. I always like to offer a little freestyle, a little opportunity for you to listen and respond to your body. You can choose whatever shape you want for your Shavasana. I'm going to take a little supported fish today. I've got a lovely bolster. Yoga props are wonderful. I'm a huge supporter of yoga props. If you want supported fish too and you have a bolster, I just sit up and tuck it in very close to the spine and roll on down so that my spine is firmly rooted on the bolster. I'm going to just extend my legs straight. Palms of my hands will face upwards as my shoulders and arms just melt down the bolster. If you have one of these giant bolsters, this might be a little too intensive. There's lots of things happening here. So even just rolling up a towel or a blanket and aligning it along the spine works really well. You kind of got to get a nice tight roll on it. or any other pose that you want for your Shavasana. Feel free to soften in. We'll take just a few breaths to let the body relax, to deepen. So come on back to that nice full inhale, then the exhale. Breathing in and breathing out. Remembering that intention from the beginning of class. If it doesn't serve the rest of your day, just let it go or leave it on your mat. Maybe think of a new intention that better fits. And then start to find some gentle movements. Little wiggles and squeezes, little rolls, the ankles, the wrists. I'm going to release from my supported fish position and just lay down on the ground. Finding some more movements. Maybe take that good morning stretch. Maybe give yourself a nice big hug, wrapping the arms around the shoulders. Nice little shoulder stretch that can happen there. I like to take both variations of either arm on top, switching it up. Maybe you roll onto your side body and come into that fetal position. Taking the breath in and the breath out. And starting to slowly press up towards seated, using that top arm and coming up. Finding that comfortable seat. Maybe it's cross-legged, maybe you hug a knee in. And we'll finish off by taking 3 breaths that exhale out anything else you no longer need. Getting ready, big breath in. Take an exhale, sigh it out, let it be audible. Big full breath in. Big exhale, let it go. One more full inhale, breathing into that diaphragm, breathe in as much as you can. Take that big exhale, let it all out. Start to relax. Take an inhale with the crown of the head, reach up a little bit more, and let that exhale, shoulders roll back and down, nice posture. Bring the hands towards heart center, just that position of gratitude. Having a little thankfulness in our day. Thinking of something that you can have appreciation for in this moment. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day filled with many moments of joy. May you always be blessed. Namaste. Beautiful. Hope you enjoyed that gentle flow. Not always easy, you can always build it up, but I like to give you guys enough time to feel into it and feel into each of the poses and let it be wonderful and great. If you have any comments or feedback, let me know. If you know someone that could use this video, feel free to share it. Like, it's just free content on Facebook, so be sure to enjoy. Do it again on the weekend if you want, or at a later date. I do eventually take them down because I don't want too much free content out there, but it's my gift to you guys. So for the next month or two, or whenever I remember, just enjoy and let me know what you want to see in upcoming videos. So I'm gonna try to do 1 to 2 free classes a month, but if you want more than that, if you want to like amp up your yoga practice and maybe do a weekly commitment to something, that is where Patreon is your place to go for that yoga studio experience. 1 to 5 classes a week with bonus content and materials. It'll be great and wonderful. Or if you live in the St. Albert area of Alberta, you can find me in studios. I teach at Lahari and Wellness Within. So that's what I've got going on for you guys. And get your sweater orders in. Don't forget, find your sizes and let me know how many you want. Maybe you want a gray one and a purple one. And we'll catch up next time. Perfect. All right, live stream over. I'm gonna hang out with the people in my yoga class on Zoom. Have a great day.